guys, this is Mike from 60CLICKS, and you've arrived at our video review for the iconic Omega Speedmaster Professional, otherwise known as the Moonwatch. Now, this watch pretty much set the standard for chronographs way back in 1957, and it hasn't changed a whole lot since then. It's called the Moonwatch because it is actually a NASA flight-qualified instrument and was worn by the astronauts on the Apollo 11 lunar mission in 1965. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But first, let's start by taking a look at the design. Now, the design of this watch is very mid-century modern. It's black and white, very utilitarian dial with straight batons for the hands and markers. It's 42 millimeters, which is a decent size for a sports watch, but the lugs are not too long, 48 millimeters height, so it wears well on smaller wrists like mine. Now, there are 3 subdials for tracking seconds, minutes, and hours, like on most chronographs. And the bezel has a printed tachymeter. The tachymeter scale is used to determine the speed of a moving object. It's really not that useful in a casual setting because you actually have to know when the object you're tracking moves exactly 1 mile. But it might be useful for pilots or drivers who had that other instrumentation. Now, one of the most stunning aspects of this watch is the domed Hesalite crystal. Hesalite is really just a fancy word for plastic, so this crystal is prone to scratches and dings and dents, but most of that is pretty easy to polish out. The Hesalite itself does give this watch a lot of really neat character. It sort of softens and distorts the light in interesting ways, and it really sets off the vintage tone of this piece. You've got your crown on the right, along with the 2 pushers for starting, stopping, and resetting the time. I'm currently wearing the Speedmaster on a NATO style strap, and it looks really good on a variety of leather and nylon NATOs, but it does come with this brushed stainless steel style bracelet. Now, this is my personal Speedmaster, and the bracelet is probably 20 years old, so pardon the scratches here. You can see it's got the pressure style clasp. Some models actually do have a deployment style clasp. And the brushed links actually have a polished inset, which gives it a nice little dressy look, although not too dressy. The links themselves have pressure style pins, which are a little tough to get out, so take those to your jeweler. This is the solid case back version of this watch, but there are also other versions of this watch that have sapphire crystal in the back so you can see the movement. Super beautiful, but not the original Moonwatch. This case back here has some engravings. You see the Seamaster's Omega Seahorse logo in the center, and the inscriptions which read, "Flight qualified by NASA for all manned space missions," and the first watch worn on the moon. As you can see, we've got some low light conditions here. Despite the fairly small applied surfaces, and the paint is not applied thickly, the lume is actually very strong. It glows for a long time. It looks really neat on the dial, and this particular watch is almost 20 years old, and you can see here the lume is still going strong. Now, one of the things I do want to touch on briefly is the NASA flight qualifications for this watch. They're actually quite incredible from a technical standpoint. This is the only flight qualified watch that NASA has done. And really it had to pass just a huge battery of tests, extreme temperatures, extreme acceleration, high pressure, vibration, acoustic noise, low oxygen atmosphere, humidity, things like that. And a couple of the properties of this watch make it well suited for space travels. One, it's not an automatic, it's a hand winding, and an automatic watch would not actually wind in space because there's no gravity to turn the rotor. And 2, the Hesalite crystal itself is shatterproof, meaning you're not going to get a situation where the watch explodes into a million little glass fragments that are flying around the shuttle. So that, in combination with all the other qualifications, make this the world's only NASA flight qualified watch. So overall, this is a really great watch from Omega. It's one of my favorite chronographs of all time. They're not cheap for brand new. They're anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000. I got this one used for around $2,400. but I think that because it's been around for so long and it's such an iconic model that it'll hold its value for a long time. So thanks for watching my review, and I hope you'll check us out at 60clicks.com to learn more about tool watches and Omega watches in general.